As teachers, we know that the most valuable thing we offer isn't information. It's the challenge to grow and guidance in the struggle that it takes to do it. It's being there when your student hits a wall, not to tear the wall down, but to help them discover their own path through it, around it, or over it. But AI has the potential to disappear those challenges. It can give answers at the cost of critical thinking skills, a high price to pay. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can redesign and innovate our approach to make AI an incredible tool to enhance critical thinking rather than steal it. And I'm going to show you one way to do that today.
Town Square.
I'm Adam with the Town Square, and today I'm going to show you how to build an AI tutor that intentionally protects the struggle that makes learning possible. It doesn't give answers, it asks questions. It guides student learning in a way that aligns with my teaching philosophy. And I'm going to show you exactly how to build your own tool to enhance student learning aligned with your teaching philosophy. Now, I'm a math teacher, so I built a tool that works for me, but the process that I show you can work for any subject. So as we go through it, think about what you can build for your students and your classroom. Here's what I was solving for in my classroom. As a math teacher, I spend a good part of my day helping students get unstuck in their problem solving by doing two things. One, scaffolding the challenge they face, and two, asking questions that provide just the right amount of guidance for them to actively develop their own problem solving skills. But then at the end of the day, I go home. And when they go home and hit a wall while working on homework, they usually have two choices: get frustrated and quit, or ask AI, which ends up doing most, if not all, of the work for them. But now they have a third choice. And while it does require some willingness and effort from the student, learning always has. Here's how it works. Let's say I'm a math student stuck on a homework problem. I know I made a mistake, but I can't figure out where or why. So I'll take a picture and upload the photo of my work to the gem, which I can do directly through an app on my phone or on my computer. And I'll say, where did I go wrong? The AI analyzes it, sees the error, scribes out everything I've done right up until the error, and then helps me understand the mistake I made by asking guiding questions, talking through ideas with me, or even providing visuals for me to gain a deeper understanding. In this case, it's pointing out the fact that my mistake has to do with subtracting 10 to the other side of the equation. So that's where I should focus my attention. And even if I don't know what to do, it's endlessly patient and encouraging. It continuously finds ways to meet me at my level of understanding, but it never just gives me the answer. Instead, it makes sure that I drive the process so I own the learning. Now, that's what works for me in my classes, but maybe for you, you're an ELA teacher and you could use an AI that plays the part of a protagonist from your current novel. Students can interact with the character in more of a person-to-person kind of way, so they can ask questions to understand motivations, interpersonal relationships between characters, and explore major themes of the novel through the eyes of the characters. Like if your class is reading The Old Man and the Sea by Hemingway and one of your students wants to ask Santiago, what can I learn from your story? What key piece of advice can you give me for my life today, briefly?
It is good to see you, my friend. You have the look of one who is searching for something, much like I search for the great fish in the deep water beyond the terrace. From my story, you can learn that luck is a fine thing, but it is better to be exact. When luck comes, you must be ready for it with your skill and your strength. As for advice for your life today, I will tell you this. A man can be destroyed, but he cannot be defeated. The world will try to break you. It will send the sharks to tear at what you have worked for, and sometimes you will return to the harbor with nothing but a skeleton. But the sharks do not matter. What matters is that you went out past the sight of land, you fought with dignity, and you did not quit. Would you like to hear more about how I kept my heart steady during those 3 days on Lamar?
Or you're a science teacher and you'd like an AI that organizes and structures messy lab data. That way students can interrogate it to understand the why and the how behind the science, rather than getting hung up on the math that hides the secrets. I'm sure at this point you have some great ideas about what you'd like to build, so drop it in the comments below. You could be the source of inspiration for other teachers, and I'd love to see what kind of ideas you have. And of course, if you have any questions about how AI can help you do what you want to do, I'm happy to answer them. So if you're ready to build an AI tool for your classroom, hit that like and subscribe button so you can get more AI tips, tools, and tricks just like this. It really goes a long way in helping out the channel and pushing this content to more teachers. Now let's jump into how to build this tool. Let's start big picture. What we're really doing here is starting with an AI like Gemini or ChatGPT with all of its many capabilities, and we're giving it specific instructions for exactly how we want it to work. So we're giving it guardrails. Think of it like an incredibly capable and eager student teacher or intern. It has impressive capabilities, but it needs a lot of direction from you. So we're gonna write the guidelines for it to operate. For this demo, I'm gonna use Gemini because you can do all of this for free as long as you have a free Google account. You can also do everything we're about to do on ChatGPT, but you need a paid account. So first I'll navigate to Gemini, open up the sidebar and click on Gems. Then over here, I'll click on New Gem. And we'll give it a name. You can always change this later if you like. I'll call this one McGrath GPT. And you might want to give it a brief description just so it's clear what the gem does, but totally optional. Now, you'll notice a few different features and boxes to fill in here, which I'll cover in later videos because there are some very cool features. But for this video, let's just focus on the box labeled Instructions. This is where we'll write out all of our system instructions to give our AI its guardrails. And we want to be very intentional about what we write here. Large language models like Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude work best when you give them context and detail. If we just tell Gemini, be a math tutor, it's too helpful. It gives away answers and does all the things I don't want it to do. To make it a real coach and work in the way that I want it to work for my students, I'm actually going to collaborate with Gemini to write the instructions. So I'll hop on over to a new window and pull up a fresh chat with Gemini. And here I'm just going to use a little bit of prompt engineering, which if you're not familiar with prompt engineering, I made a video on it that you can watch to gain an edge on prompting and interacting with AI. In this case, I'll start with the prompt, you are an expert in pedagogy, LLMs, and writing instructions for custom gems. Help me write instructions for a supportive math coach gem that uses the Socratic method. Let's start by clearly defining and detailing the criteria, strategies, and tools that define an effective math coach/tutor. And in that last sentence, we're enforcing a little chain of thought prompt, which I find to be my most effective tool when working with AI. If you want to know more about it and why it works so well, check out that prompt engineering video. All right, so we get our first response from Gemini, and then we're just going to have a conversation to iterate on our ideas. And as we do, there are a few key pillars to keep in mind, but don't worry about taking notes. I've included an easy to reference PDF for you to bookmark or download that has all of these pillars. And really, these pillars are just suggestions to get ideas flowing. Let your creativity drive the process above all else. Pillar 1, the core intent. We need to define why the gem needs to exist. So we're answering questions like, what friction point in the learning process are we trying to solve? Or by the end of a 10-minute session, what should the student know or be able to do that they couldn't before? Pillar 2, the pedagogical strategy. This is where we decide how the gem behaves as an educator. Should it be a coach guiding from the sidelines, a tutor directly explaining concepts, a challenger playing devil's advocate, or something else entirely? Pillar 3, parameters and guardrails. AI has a tendency to be overly helpful, so we need to define the no-fly zones. What is the gem strictly prohibited from doing? In my case, building a homework assistant, I never want it to just give the answer. And finally, pillar 4, interaction design. What does it feel like to talk to this gem? Should it always ask follow-up questions or wait for the student to take the lead? All right, now that we've solidified our ideas, it's time to write our custom gem. I'll say something like, write detailed system instructions based on the pillars we've defined. Ensure that every detail of each pillar is addressed in the custom instructions. And then we get our result, which we may or may not need to refine because again, eager student intern. But once we land on something great, we simply copy it, hop back to our gem, paste it in the instructions box, click update, and that's it. Now we have our custom gem, at least the first version of it. From here, I would run it through some stress tests to make sure it works the way I intend, and then update the system instructions accordingly. And the great thing about having the Gemini conversation that helped build the instructions in the first place is, whatever changes you want to make to the gem, just type it into the conversation and ask for the best way to address that in your instructions. All right, we've covered a lot of technical ground today, but I want to leave you with the most important part of this entire process. The AI is just the engine. You are the architect. Tools like Gemini and these custom gems don't have a teaching philosophy. You do. When your students interact with AI, you are the one setting the guardrails. You're the one using your creativity and your unique pedagogy to ensure that technology doesn't just give an answer, but actually enriches the educational experience. So you aren't just a user of AI, you are the designer of how your students will experience it. And to help you get started, I put a few things in the description below. There's the PDF resource that breaks down the 4 pillars that we used today, a direct link to the homework help gem that we built so you can test it for yourself, and I've included the full set of custom instructions, so if you're a math teacher, you can copy, paste, and tweak them for your own classroom. So here's my challenge. Don't let this just be another video you watched. Go build something. Take one lesson, one struggle your students face, and build a gem that helps them navigate it. Then talk about it in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions you have or help you navigate this technology in bringing your ideas to life. If this was helpful, hit that like and subscribe. It helps us keep the lights on here at the Town Square and ensures that you don't miss our next deep dive into AI education. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
Town Square.